And welcome to Control Alt Deplete, episode 28 or 29, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember if I updated, but I think it's 29, I think. I don't know. Pretty sure it's episode 29. Anyway, I am your host, Buckblind, on the left side of the screen, and our other host, Mr. Bioshock, on the right side of the screen. How you doing?
Good. It's been it feels like a long time since our last podcast, so just so much has happened.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I'm doing good. Good. What about yourself?
Not too bad. I just really need to change my mic settings. Okay, Yeti, and there's that.
There we go.
Now we're back. Now you can hear me better, or now I can mute that one.
Better.
You can still hear me.
Yeah.
I don't need double microphones going.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into it here. We have the new weekly reset this week, so we have Tyrannical, Entangling, and Bursting. Really strong push week for Tyrannical. Bursting's the only issue. If you have a Shadow Priest, it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
But this is the one week that I would say Shadow Priests are super OP.
The best class for sure.
Yes.
Or just a priest in general.
Yes, true. Yeah, any priest. But yeah, so good week. Go push keys, go out there, have some fun.
Yep.
Then the other thing I want to touch on real quick before we jump into all the tuning is we do have regular flying coming in 10.2. It's going to be the Dragon Isles Pathfinder, whatever they want to call it. I'm not sure.
Is there a requirement to get it unlocked?
It is finishing all the Dragonflight main storylines. So, I've already got that done. I'm pretty sure at least one of my characters. I may not have the newest stuff. Easy to get. Explore all the Dragonflight zones. That includes the Emerald Dream, whenever that comes out. And reach Renown 15 with all Dragonflight factions, which I've already got on my Demon Hunter.
I don't even have I'm not even close to that, I don't think.
Yeah, you might have 15s on one of your mains. 15's not hard to get to.
Well, I just want to I didn't really do much questing. Just kind of
Oh, you can check all your tunes, see which ones have the highest. I bet you got some that's close to it at least.
Yeah, for sure. So it's for sure close.
But yeah, so you'll have regular flying. For those of you that for some reason hate dragon fighting, dragon riding is better. Now I do understand, like if you need to hover in the air so that you're safe. Yeah, I get that. Go AFK from it. That makes sense. It is annoying trying to find a place to level or to sit that's safe. When you come back and you're dead anyway. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
But yep, we'll have Pathfinder coming out, so we can go after that once 10.2 comes out.
Hey, when does Dragonfly come to Azeroth?
So technically it kind of already has a little bit because they've got the Kalendor Cup, but it worked where you just have the dragon riding races, where you could race there, and then you can't do any dragon riding outside of that. But the way I'm seeing this is if you have dragon riding races available, so you can dragon ride in the old zones, there's no reason why they can't bring. You already have the technology implemented in, so you can dragon ride in the old zones. So honestly, there's no reason for them not to have that. So I don't know if maybe that's something they're going. They haven't announced it for 10.2. But I don't know if they're planning on just doing the racing only, or if they're going to give us all of it. I don't know. I do not know. I know they've data mined a lot more dragon riding races and cups for the other old zones, so we'll see what happens with that. But
Interesting.
Finger.
So now, is it the Dragonflight supposed to come to Azeroth at some point, right?
They said they were planning on it. Now I don't know if maybe when they said, well, we're planning on having dragon riding in the old zones, obviously we all took that as we're going to have dragon riding in the old zones. Maybe their meaning was you're going to have dragon riding races in the old zones.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, if you have the technology to do the races in the old zones, you can have the technology to. You already have the technology to just give it to us in the old zones.
Yeah.
So at this point, in my opinion, the only thing stopping them is just them choosing not to do it.
Right.
So like they've shown they already can do it, so they just need to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, tonight's episode is gonna have tons of talk of tuning. We've got all sorts of tuning, dungeon tuning, class tuning. There's all sorts of stuff. We're probably not going to hit on everything as far as the classes because there's too much to go over right now. So we're going to hit up a couple of the main classes that we play, and then we'll cover some more in the next episode as well. So if we don't cover your class tonight, don't worry. We'll probably cover it next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna jump into that so we can get going. Cool. Dungeon tuning. We had some dungeon tuning come out today, actually. So the notes on that. Pull these up. Just to. Yeah, we're not gonna go through all that little stuff. This is not the right article that I was looking at anyway. What is this? This is the right article I wanted. What the hell?
The patch 10.2?
No, this is not what I thought it was.
Like the Dark Heart Thicket changes.
Yeah, I just wanted the changes. Anyway, I know what they are off the top of my head anyway. So they changed some of the snapping and stuff for
Atoll.
Yeah, Atoll Azar. So the snapping still works as long as they can't actually reach you, but if they can reach you, even if you're up on a ledge that used to snap, because that was a big thing in Atoll Azar, was snapping. All of BFA snapping was a big thing.
I heard that you can still snap in certain spots.
Yes. So what it is that the way that the snapping now is going to work is that if it is a spot that the monsters can like just run up next to and still be able to reach you, they won't snap. But if it's a high enough spot that they can't just run up to, you're out of range, then they will snap after a couple of seconds. So it just depends on areas. There's gonna be people figure out and testing stuff. Honestly though, I don't feel like snapping is as big of a thing as it used to be anyway. Like, is it convenient? Sure. Is it necessary? No. So I mean, don't feel like you have to go and snap. A couple other things that I saw was in Atoll Azar, the mobs. So the big, I always call him the triangle boss. I can't remember his name, but it's a triangle boss, the one where you've got three totems, things, and you got to do all the mechanics of that, and you're rotating
at the same time.
Yes, and you're rotating. So the trash pack right before that was always a rough trash pack that everyone wanted to skip because it was very, very rough. It was because there were two very difficult mobs in that pack. Blizzard did tons of things to try to keep people from skipping them during BFA, and that actually just made it harder and more of a requirement to skip. So they finally have learned, and they're getting rid of one of those two very difficult mobs. So there's going to be one of those in that pack, which makes it easier.
Manageable.
Yes. Another change that they made for the dungeons was Waycrest Manor. I think we kind of talked about this last week as well, what they were going to do with the doors. Because originally in BFA, some doors were open, some were closed. Every week was a different route. And they did announce today they are going to have all of the doors open, so you can do whatever route you want to do and just do that route every week. So that's nice, in my opinion. That's what I was hoping they would do personally. That way I didn't have to come up with 3 different routes for the same dungeon. Because that's always super annoying, in my opinion, when you have to change your entire route every single week. I don't like that.
Waycrest Manor, I'll let you go back to your thing, but there's a couple bosses I really hate in there. I hate the 3 witches.
Yes, that's a rough one.
It's an annoying fight, and I don't remember the tree boss. So you gotta like light on fire or something like that.
Yeah, the tree
I think
boss.
it's hard, but I don't really remember it very well. I suppose there's like fire you gotta walk through or something.
So one of the things about Waycrest Manor I felt like is some of the boss mechanics in there are really unique and stuff that they've never really had in other dungeons.
Right.
So that's one of the things that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see people who haven't done it try to learn it.
Yeah.
Because it was not an easy dungeon by any means. Let's start recording. All right. So let's see. So another change that we have from season 2 to season 3 is the way that the dungeon rewards are going to work. One, all the item levels are like the max rewards are 3 item levels lower than what they were this season. So that's whatever. You can upgrade it all with myth or with aspect crests anyway, so it's not going to be that big. Still hit 49 or 49. But one big change is that right now you just have to do 16s to get myth gear. And that's going to change to 18s. So you'll have to be doing 18s to get myth gear for season 3.
That's doable. So, I think.
Yeah, that should be fine. Then, other than that, that's it for the dungeon tuning. So let's jump into class tuning. So the first thing we're going to hit up on is rogues. Because Mr. Bio is very excited about the rogues.
Yeah, I put a lot of work. Not a whole lot of work, but I put in some work. Get some jot notes down.
Right. So let's go ahead and get started. So take it away.
So there'll be quick points because I didn't want to make it too long. But for assassination, there's talents in the class tree and the spec tree that gives you energy. So you can have energy pool of 300 with a 15% increase in energy regeneration. So it's a lot of energy. So it works well with this new ability called exsanguate, something like that. Exsanguate, something. That basically they burn your mana down to increase bleed damage passively is one of them. The other one increases bleed damage by 10, where it takes it down over 10 seconds. I don't know. But yeah, it's just the energy cap just makes it so when you do these draining abilities and new ones, they just do a lot of damage. So then you kind of go. The issue with it is that if you're like playing the one spec where you just so for example, if you have 300 energy, there's a passive ability that takes like 6 of your energy away every second while it ticks and increases your bleed damage until you get below 150 energy. Now that being said, you don't get to have like energy built up, it's always ticking away, so it leads to some downtime. But they put in some work this last change, and it looks like they've fixed some of it. They nerfed the damage, but nerfed the energy required as well, so it's nice. The big one for me that I think makes Assassination contender for Mythic Plus is the new Crimson Tempest. So on live server, it's about 20k up front, and then 20k over 16 seconds, something like that. On the PTR, there's no upfront damage, it's just pure dot. It's about 85,000 over 16 seconds. So it's a lot more of an AoE ability that it helps, because the single target is fine. So having that Crimson Tempest buff is really nice and it's needed.
Nice.
A couple more things for Assassination. There's an ability called Indiscriminate Carnage. That's what I tell you that I'm mad about all the time. The 45-second cooldown, you use Garrote and Rupture, spreads to your targets. The new one's a passive, not the actual ability, and it just spreads their Garrote and Rupture free targets when used out of stealth. So it doesn't sound great. It might be okay. I don't know. I haven't really tested it, but it's nice to see they're changing it, at least tackling some of the issues.
For sure.
There's this new ability called Sudden Demise, and basically it increases your bleed damage straight up by 10%. And when they hit 30% health, it all takes and explodes, doing like an execute kind of thing. So that counts for your AoE bleeds. So our Garrote, Rupture, Crimson Tempest, all that counts towards the execute. And the last thing for Assassination is the Shiv bleed damage spec. There's an ability in the assassination tree that when you shiv, it hits 4 nearby enemies, increasing bleed damage to take by like 30% or something. And you can get 2 stacks of shivs, so you can have like the increased bleed damage up quite often. Yeah, so shiv could potentially be a little more than just a purge for an enrage. It can really decrease your damage.
Nice.
Outlaw Killing Spree got huge changes. It's a lot stronger now. It's not like gonna destroy things, but it's definitely gonna do some good comparable damage now. There's an ability called Upper Hand something, and basically it's when you have Slice and Dice Up or Blade Fury. It doesn't go away when you have Adrenaline up. It just stays 100% duration, so it just allows for like longer AoE pulls or something, you know. Now it depends on what you spec. Full Blood could be used between the eyes now, on the between the eyes spell, because between the eyes increases its crit damage by 4% or 4 times. I mean, this means from bigger hits. There is, I think it's talent that when you use between the eyes, automatically bash at the same time. Keep spamming your stun between the eyes, and you'll be using dispatch, which is a lot of damage. The way they nerfed it was that you have to use it from stealth or from Shadow Dance, which is not that bad. Shadow Dance is like 1 minute cooldown. There's an ability called Sting Like a Bee, which is a group damage increase. So when you stun something, it takes 10% increased damage from everybody in your party. It's just nice for priority kills. The Outlaw tier set is pretty good. I don't really remember it that much off. I didn't really write it down, but it's decent. I think the 2 sets increase your Sister Strike double, like hitting a second time 15%. A couple things left for Outlaws. Ghostly Strike is 15% increased damage. It's off the global cooldown, but it's a 1.5 minute cooldown. Yeah. And so, yeah, and then sub, I get to test out sub, and it seems like it's going to be very good. Plus, again, Secret Technique's not a must pick up anymore. But I think for Performance Plus, you still will want to get it because it's just strong AoE. And I'll skip some of these notes to make it just shorter. The Shadow Blades, the ability that increase your combo point generators by 50%, has been changed. It's now in 20% increased damage to everything you do. And while you're attacking, everything that generates combo points gives you full combo points. So you can just like cheap shot, eviscerate, Sinister Strike, eviscerate, backstab, eviscerate. Like, I don't know. Like you just spam like your abilities. This is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's other things, but I'm sure I won't go through it all because it's a lot. But I'm sure we'll get some more information and changes, and we can talk about that next time as well.
Yep. And I know there's a few rogue changes today as well. Is there anything on that? I had a chance to look through those or not.
I did. I'll pull it up 1 second. Assassination, there it is. Yeah, so where is it? Right there. So exsanguinate. What's that? How's that pronounced?
Exsanguinate.
Exsanguinate. That's right. I forgot. So like I was telling you, like if you look at Exsanguinate, the first one, it's like all above 150 energy. Your Garrote, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest consume 4 energy to duplicate 25% any damage dealt. That's a passive ability, so it's always ticking if you're above 150 energy. Nice. The other one, the other Exsanguinate, is
looks like they nerfed or they buff. I don't know if it's a buff or nerf because it jumped it to where it's over 150 energy, but it only consumes 4 energy instead of 8 energy.
Instead of 8.
But it also only duplicates 25% of any damage.
Yeah, and then the other one is the Garrote, Rupture, Crimson Tempest consume 8 energy, duplicate 75% of the damage, but it lasts 10 seconds. So the first one's a passive that you always have. The second one's an on use. And then there was the internal bleeding was quite strong actually when I was testing, so they did nerf that too by about, I don't know, 3% attack power. Yes, that is right. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I forgot before we move on, because this is very key for subtlety. Is subtlety has the shroud of concealment buff. So it's, if you're in the circle, you get 100% move speed, and if you leave the circle, you stay stealthy. Continue that sprint, so you don't like have to be in with the rogue the whole time, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And then the huge thing is probably the AoE kidney shot. So if you guys don't know, the kidney shot is now, if you spec into it, is a 40-second cooldown. It costs 40 energy, 50 energy. And it has no AoE cap. Right now it doesn't. It just stuns everything for about, I think it's 6 seconds is the max they had to that. But the 6-second AoE stun every 40 seconds is pretty good.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it. I fully expect that duration to get reduced.
To 3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't see them allowing 6-second stun for an AoE stun. I just don't see them allowing that to go live.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy right now, but yeah.
Yeah, the uncapped part is normal. Almost every AoE stun is uncapped as far as target is. So that's normal. My guess is that's going to be capped at 3 seconds probably. I know right now it's capped at 6, so we'll see.
Yeah, so those are the rogue changes, and then I'll let you go into yours, and we can go into Evoker together if you want.
Okay, so Demon Hunter, I wanted to cover the Demon Hunter changes. Very, very crucial here. Essentially, the Demon Hunter changes, huge changes. It is nothing. So far, the notes on Demon Hunter are
not there.
We're working on it. That's the answer. Those are the notes. We're working on it. They have they want to improve Vengeance's sigil-related talents, which I don't know. Our sigil-related talents are strong already, so the tier set bonus for Demon Hunter. I honestly don't remember what Havoc's is. Vengeance 1 is kind of meh, not great, but I could see it scaling decently in Mythic Plus. Just the way that it works a little bit, but it's all right. I don't think they're doing too much changes to the Vengeance tree. I think Havoc is where it's really going to be interesting to see what they do, but they have not implemented anything yet in PTR, so we don't know what changes they have.
Honestly, I think the fact that they have nothing out yet is a good thing. I think maybe they're working on something bigger, and they'll release it probably maybe a couple weeks or something. I don't know, but maybe it's because they're actually continually working on it right now.
Yeah. As far as Guardian Druid goes, no changes announced, which isn't surprising because they just had the massive rework back in 10.1.5, so I wasn't expecting to see too many changes. I think personally they're pretty happy with where Guardian Druid is. I think personally Guardian Druids are fairly happy with it as well. I think the tier set bonus, I don't think people are super happy with the tier set for this season, or for the upcoming season. But I also think that's combination of the tier set bonus was pretty good for this season. It's kind of the same boat that Vengeance Demon Hunter is in. Vengeance Demon Hunter, the tier set bonus for this season was so strong. So any tier set was going to be a slight downgrade regardless. But I think the tier set that they went with is kind of a bigger downgrade than it needed to be. But yeah, so Guardian, there's nothing really on there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Monk, just a bunch of Mistweaver changes. They haven't done anything with Brewmaster as well. I will say the tier set bonus for Brewmaster Monk looks very strong. Shores up some of the defensive struggles they have. So I know right now Brewmaster's in talks of potentially being one of the top tanks going for the next season. We'll see. We'll see where it falls. Paladin, Prot Pally, no changes. So we're getting a theme here with tanks. Nothing is changing with this. It's good and bad. I think some of the tanks need some changes. So we'll see. Death Knight, I don't think I missed the Death Knight changes. Yeah, they're at the top. Are there any Death Knight changes? Just Unholy, no blood decay changes. So then we've got warrior changes, a lot of PvP changes, and again, nothing for prop pally, nothing for PvE for warrior changes. So that's kind of the state of tanks right now. Is no changes going forward for the moment. At least we'll see if they upgrade or change anything. I haven't seen any other changes, but I'll keep you updated on all things tank as we go forward. What were you gonna say?
Yes. I was gonna bring this up because I don't know if we're gonna talk about it yet, but what are your thoughts on the tier sets that are forcing you to play certain talents?
Yeah, no, not a huge fan.
I feel like some classes it's okay, and some it's like, why?
Yeah, well, and the thing is, they need to. One of the issues that Blizzard has always had is that, oh, nobody's picking this talent. We need to buff it and make it a mandatory pick to force people to play that talent. And the thing that they aren't understanding is in certain situations, such as Momentum for Demon Hunter, people are not picking it because, oh, it's too weak. They're picking it because they don't like it. It's not fun. It's not an enjoyable playstyle. Like Momentum for Demon Hunters, that talent needs to be deleted from the game. Every single expansion, they literally Legion, when Demon Hunters were created, the first build, the first main talent selection was supposed to be Momentum. They pushed on it, everyone tried it, everyone said, nah, that sucks, and everyone stopped using it. Then we go to BFA. They tried to force Momentum at the beginning of BFA too, and everyone said, no, we're not doing that. In Shadowlands, they forced Momentum in Shadowlands, and everyone said, no, we're not doing that. And Dragonflight, they try to force Momentum, and everyone says, "No, we're not doing that." So I don't know when Blizzard's going to take the hint and get rid of Momentum, because nobody likes playing with Momentum. There are people that will play it because it is, part of the top build. But I don't know. That's one issue I think they've had is they like to force people. If in season A, people aren't using this talent, they like to focus on that talent in season B and try to force people to play it. And that's a bad mindset. I think the problem is they need to look at the talent and understand why people don't want to play it. So for example, Momentum. What if instead of it being Fell Rush, what if Momentum was changed so that it was every time you use Blade Dance, you get 3 seconds of an 8% damage increase, or something along those lines, where it's an ability that doesn't fling you halfway across the room.
Yeah.
That's the issue, is Momentum causes you to have to move constantly. And in Mythic Plus, it's a terrible play style in Mythic Plus. In Raid, it's not as bad. But in Mythic Plus, that's not something you want when there's Sanguine all over the place. When you have bosses that literally, the more you move, the more damage you take, why would you want to play a playstyle that forces you to move? That's what I think they don't understand, is they need to look at it and go, why are people not picking it? Instead of just assume, oh, it's not powerful enough, so let's buff it and make it more stronger so you have to play it, or put it somewhere where you have to pick that talent in order to unlock another talent. I don't know. I think that's an issue they have with several different classes, and putting tier sets to force you to play certain talents is not a good idea either. I think the other thing is, if you're going to do that and force people to play certain talents, one, make it a talent that everyone is already using. That maybe isn't so honestly, the Vengeance Demon Hunter 1. I personally am looking at it going, I don't think it's that strong of a tier set bonus, but it doesn't really change our play style at all, and it doesn't force us into anything we weren't already using. Because all it does is it means you have to use Sigil of Flame. But on 99% of builds for Vengeance, you're already using Sigil of Flame anyway. So I don't think that kind of stuff isn't that big of a deal. It's a talent that everyone's using already, whatever. Whenever it's a talent that nobody is using, don't force people to use it. You need to look at the talent and see why are people not using it. Is it
Yeah.
because the talent is weak, or is it because the talent's not fun? Um, I know there's a lot of shamans. I think it was shaman. Whatever, I can't remember. I don't know what the tier bonus was, but I remember seeing a lot of people in comments talking about that's awful. No one likes playing with that talent, but now we're going to have to because our tier bonus revolves around that talent. Stuff like that, I think people are not happy with.
Yeah.
Um, no, I mean, what's your opinion? I don't know if you know of any specific examples or have any thoughts on that as well.
Mm, I don't know. I think some abilities it's kind of cool because it's kind of already running it, or they're getting buffed and strong, so it's nice and new. But I think some talents are just like, why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for example, I know the augmentation set's actually pretty good. But I don't like the 2 set at all, which is the every third presence lasts 100% longer. It's not just bad. I just don't like it. It's not very fun. But
Yeah, I see
the
that.
the 4 set's really strong, and it has nothing to do with. Well, it does the impressions, but it's like it's not that impressions was hard place either. It's relatively easy. Um, I don't know. There's the DK ability where cold snap. I don't remember what it's called, but this sort of like the icicle like jumps between targets and hits them. Um, you made it so you can also bounce off yourself. So it's like that's cool because it's like, and it would have sucked in single target, so he does nothing to bounce off of because it just bounces off enemies. But with it bounce off yourself, you can actually use it in single target, and then that's fine. But I mean, I never liked that ability anyways, so I don't like that change. But it's not that weak either. It's strong. Most of these talent trees are strong. Like I can't really see anyone that sticks out there like, oh, that sucks. Like most of the tier sets, they put a good work into it. I think it's good for the majority of classes.
Anyway, so yeah,
Uh,
I was just about to ask you before my internet went out there. So Frost Mage, I don't know if you've seen what their bonus is, but I feel like that's very strong.
One
Uh,
sec. Is it you have the? I don't see the podcast up.
it's just I don't have it shared. It's fine.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I can look at it right now. 10% increased damage to a spiritual spike, and having it blow up on frozen targets sounds pretty good.
yes, because I mean I know Glacial Spike's a big part of the current Frost Mage
Oh,
rotation anyway.
it's huge. Yeah.
So having it become a big AOE damage there from a tier bonus, and then a 40% chance to trigger Brain Freeze. Like I feel like that's buffing Glacial Spike. See that, and that's what I'm saying. Like a tier set bonus that enhances the play style that is already being played.
Yep.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I like that a lot.
It's good. I think. Go on.
I would say Brewmaster Tank has a good set as well, with the 2 set bonus. Breath of Fire deals 20% more damage and heals you for 50% of all fire damage
Oh,
dealt.
geez, that sounds strong.
I don't know if the 50% healing is just from Breath of Fire or if it is like for the duration. Because I know Breath of Fire puts a debuff on everything, so I don't know if that
It sounds like it's
makes.
gonna heal you for the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I have to get onto PTR and actually test it out to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then it also says for the 4 set bonus, you're attacked against targets affected by Breath of Fire or afflicted by Breath of Fire have a chance to deal 5% extra damage as Shadow Flame, and each Celestial Brew also grants a stagger absorb equal to the amount of Shadow Flame damage you have dealt, causing
Mm.
damage delayed by stagger to instead be prevented. Which
Oh, nice.
that's very big for Mythic Plus
Yep.
because the stagger damage is not great for Mythic Plus because
Right.
essentially just means you have dots on you all the time with stagger. So this would
Yeah.
actually just completely get rid of that damage, which would be really good. So I think that we're going to see Brewmaster Monk. The set looks really strong right now. So I think
Hmm.
we're going to see them possibly be in the top, but we'll see.
Yeah. So I think we'll touch on the mage one again because I think this is just. I think it's just insanely strong. Because if you look at the fire tier set, it just sounds insane. So the fire set, when you power blast or flame strike critically hit, which is 100% during combust, you gain Searing Rage, increase your crit strike damage with 3% for 12 seconds, and with 15%. Activating combustion force set, increase the critical strike damage bonus of Searing Rage to 100% for 12 seconds. So you get like your, so I think ideally you get your stacks up to 15%. That is your 2 set, and then combust, and then it's like 30% increased damage. It just sounds insanely strong again. I hope. Well, I don't say I hope Fire's not played. Last I'm tired of seeing it being like the best caster.
Right.
Yeah, the Fire set just seems so strong. I gotta say, I think Frost is really good as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then
yeah,
and then you have the Havoc tier set bonus, which I remember it once I looked at it.
awful.
It's the one that forces you to play the Throwglaive build,
Glaze,
which again
yeah,
is a build that most people don't want to play because it's a very complex and hard to manage play style,
yeah,
and a lot of people don't like it. And it looks like it wants us to force us to do that. So
yeah. It's really dumb, and it doesn't sound very strong at all. I don't know if you think it is. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be very strong.
I don't know,
Unless
and
unless you're on the soul rend or whatever, right? The bleed. That is it worth?
yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna force you to probably talent into the Throwglaive build. Um,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But one thing I do like is the 4 set bonus. The throw glaive reduces the remaining cooldown of the hunt by zero point 0.4 seconds.
Yeah.
So, because the hunt is just an awesome, fun ability anyway.
Yes.
So that's nice, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like being forced into going towards the throw glaive build. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think we were wanting to go over some augmentation
Evoker.
stuff. Yes, some evoker stuff.
So,
Go ahead
like I said,
and start with the go ahead and start with devastation, and then we'll go over augmentation to wrap it up.
all right, sounds good. Um, so before I even get to test it, people are saying a lot of people are saying it's a great set bonus, and it's can really help to compete with other classes in Mythic Plus or rating even. So how this tier set works is when you have Dragon Rage up, which is like your main cooldown. You gain this ability called Emerald Trance every 6 seconds, which increases your damage done by 5% second to 5 times. So it's a lot of damage for whole Dragon Rage. You keep Dragon Rage up almost like 30 seconds. And you have like having 25% increased damage. And then another key part of this is your 4 set, is that when Dragon Rage ends after 35 seconds of being up, the Emerald Trance persists for 5 seconds per stack and grants you Essence Burst every 5 seconds. So that set bonus is actually really good. I'm really looking forward to really playing with it and stuff.
Now, real quick, I just want to point
Yep.
out the irony of the set bonus when it comes to some of the devastation changes. Because one of the things that the dev specifically wrote was that they wanted to bring some of the damage out of Dragon Rage and
Yeah.
make it less dependent on Dragon Rage. And then they nerf Dragon Rage, but then they take a tier set bonus and buff Dragon Rage.
Like a ton too. Like it's a huge buff.
So
25% increased damage
yeah, so
for like 30
to
seconds.
be fair, they probably did because of the tier set bonus. They probably did actually need to nerf Dragon Rage itself. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it is just funny that they nerf Dragon Rage because they said we feel it's too strong and it needs to be nerfed, and then they give a tier set bonus that literally just buffs it. Um,
Yeah.
but hey, those are the crazy things that WoW devs do. But continue.
Well, that was it. That was a 2 and 4 set. I think it's
Okay.
very strong and promising, and I think if you can't find augmentation, I think a devastation is a good fit for Mythic Plus as well.
Yep. Did you touch on the mastery change?
No. Um, like the nerf.
uh Not so much a nerf.
I didn't
It's
see it.
so for devastation, all the damage is increased by 5% across the board, so
Mm.
that's a nice buff.
Yeah, I
um
remember that. Yeah.
and then the mastery giant killer is reduced by 25%.
Right.
Now, the key is that the damage no longer falls off the target once the target reaches 30% health. So you're not so reliant on them having high health to do more damage. It's
Yeah.
going to be a more balanced, a little more sustained instead of burst, which is good. I think that'll help them out. As I said, that they're reducing the effective of mastery and adding a health floor to the damage bonus. The goal is to bring some damage out of Dragon Rage due to the Tyranny talent and make Devastation less reliant on hitting high health targets while still retaining the flavor and gameplay of the mastery. That
Yeah.
it makes them less bursty in PvP and allows them to be more flexible in raid and dungeon content. And like I said, I think, to my opinion, the big thing is that to compensate for that, they've increased the overall damage as well, which I think is good for Devastation to get a 5% damage increase. That'll help them out, because that's just, I mean, it's a 5% increase in damage altogether. That's excellent to have no matter
Yeah.
what. So I
Yeah.
think
I
that'll
agree.
help them out a bit.
Like I was watching this guy plays Evoker, and his name's Kess Live. Shout out. Um, he was playing Devastation the other day with an AUG in his group, and he's pulling like, and I think in a freehold, he ended the dungeon with like 240 DPS.
Yeah,
It was insane. But yeah, so I like definitely spots for Devastation.
for sure.
I think this tier set is really nice. So yeah,
Yeah,
I do see what you're saying. Like
I
it's
think
just very
the main reason that Devastation is not being played much right now is just because of how strong
augmentation.
augmentation is. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think Devastation needs some changes to make their damage a bit less bursty and more sustained. Because I know from watching from when you were playing Devastation, I mean, we'd start a pool and you'd open up with 500k DPS, and then it taper off quite a bit after
Yeah,
that. But you'd get a big giant hit in with everything at full health, and one, it was hard to hold threat against that. But it
yeah,
just, I think it's better to have a little bit more balance than just that quick burst and then not
yeah.
much else after that.
I
So,
agree. I think they should increase the damage of your Dragon's Breath on a one charge as opposed to a fully charged one. Like
right.
I think the fully charged one is good because it does a lot of damage. But the reason why people do the fully charged one most of the time is because then your living flame hits 4 targets. So I don't know. I think
For what,
if they
Dragon's Breath?
yeah,
I thought Eruption is the one that causes it to affect the living flame.
eruption not a dev ability.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of augmentation. Never mind.
Yeah. So I think yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, so, and then you said you want to touch on some augmentation stuff as well, correct?
Yeah. So I think the two set's okay and it works well for your four set. I'll get your opinion in a second, but I think the two sets kind of boring, but the four sets sounds pretty good. So I'm gonna read it out and see what your opinion is on the four set. So casting prescience enhances your next eruption with small fissures for each presence you have active, dealing 110 power damage, extending Epimite by 0.2 seconds.
So anything that
So
extends Evan Might, I'm a fan of.
yes, so for example, if you have prescience up on 3 targets, I think that's how much you get on. Then
Yes,
each
that's each
eruption,
active one. Yep.
each eruption would give you like 0.6 seconds on ebb and might. So
Yes.
on top of like the second and a half it already gives,
Right. Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think the four set's really good. The two set's not bad either. It really works well with the four set. But I'm not a huge fan. But not that I don't like it. I'm just not a huge fan of prescience.
Well, so the prescience thing, um, I like the bonus. I agree, it's probably boring,
Yeah,
but it's
but
gonna
it's strong.
it's gonna be strong, and I think it makes it a lot more manageable for prescience because it's gonna give you a lot more wiggle room. I think.
Yeah,
It's going to give you opportunities to have prescience on 3 targets,
yeah,
but it'll mean that you are almost guaranteed to be able to keep it up on 2 targets all the time.
Yes.
So that I think alone, that's nice. So it is almost it's not really a quality of life change, but to me, I view it almost like a quality of life change because it's just
Yeah.
going to make to me. I think the hardest thing, and you probably would agree, the hardest thing in my opinion for playing augmentation is balancing out that prescience and trying to
Yeah.
keep it up on two people all the time. I That's to me what I struggle the most with. I feel like when I'm playing augmentation, so I think that makes it a lot easier to do two targets. And then again, I think the really talented players will be able to do three targets all the time, or close to all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately, getting three targets should be the goal. But I think as long as you keep it up on two people all the time, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, Ebon Might, extending Ebon Might at all, I'll take it. So, 0.4 seconds, 0.6 seconds is what you're looking at there for the extended duration. Now,
Yeah.
110
And
spell power damage, so that would be so if you have two, that would be 220%, and if you have three, that'd be 330%, I believe. That's what it sounds like. So that would
um.
be pretty strong there from a damage perspective.
Yeah.
Because if you have three active and you get 330 spell power damage, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
But no, I like the four set. Like I said, I'm with you. I agree. The two set sounds pretty boring, but I think as an augmentation evoker for one, if you're playing augmentation evoker, you're already playing a kind of boring spec anyway.
Yeah.
so so but I kind of like it. I like playing it just from it's a little bit more relaxing. I
Yes.
also I also feel like playing augmentation. Um, if you're not very good at WoW, I feel like augmentation is the class for you to get in to be able to get into stuff. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's just like the TikTok sound. If you're bad at augmentation evoker, who's gonna know? How are they gonna
Yep.
know? How are they gonna know? They're not gonna know. How are they gonna know? Because I
Yeah.
mean, even if you're playing augmentation right, your DPS on the meters looks terrible anyway. So if you're playing it poorly, your DPS doesn't look any different.
Yep.
That's kind of I was one of the things I was kind of chuckling to myself about when I was playing it is like I am sucking on this, but nobody knows. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't you that's the thing with augmentation, you really don't know how the person is performing until the dungeon is over. And by
Yeah.
that point, it's too late. You brought me already. You carried me through a key. You find out I sucked at it. Too late. Your screen just went all blurry. There you go.
Uh,
Now we can see you again. It's still
oh,
blurry.
so yeah, I actually dragged my white note screen in front of my computer.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, I
It was like
actually
you
minimized it.
disappeared. But yep. So that's kind of the tuning. Next week again, we'll go into some detail on some of the other classes as well. Maybe not all of them. Maybe all
But
of them.
some,
We'll see. Yeah, we'll hit up some
I
of them.
think we could hit
Maybe.
up like the tanks, and I can get a
Well,
couple
if
more
if
DPS
there's
in.
any tank stuff in,
True,
we'll
true,
see.
true.
Maybe we'll
Yep.
bring in Jared and get his thoughts on healers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I think I'm looking forward to the new season. Spent a lot of the weekend putting together, well, work week, I guess, putting together a gearing guide with a plan to get us as geared as quickly as possible. They definitely are making it last longer and make it harder to gear up than this season was. That is for sure. If you want to get full 489 gear, which I think 489 is the max eye level for season 3, if you're wanting to get full 489 level, you're talking a minimum if you're just doing mythic plus, I guess. If you're doing mythic raid, it's going to be faster as well. But if you aren't able to do mythic raid but you want to get full 489 gear, you're going to have to do a minimum of 16 weeks to get your gear.
Mm,
Whereas right now, you could probably get fully geared in about 10 weeks. You could be full
yeah.
max level gear. So, it's a big difference. They're definitely trying to slow it down. Um, Probably just to try to drag out subs, honestly.
Yeah.
But we'll see. The other question is this, and this is kind of a little off topic thing. We hadn't really covered the notes at all, but do you think we're going to have a season 4? Because I've seen a lot of debate as to whether or not we're having a season 4 during this expansion.
Okay, so I'm gonna take you back in time a second. Okay, so um, Warlords of Draenor did that with Hellfire Citadel being the only raid for a whole year. It was not well received, and I think it makes people think Warlord is one of the worst expansions. I agree. Now, some of the stuff in the expansion was cool, but the way they handled the seasons was not cool.
Well, so to be fair,
Like,
there weren't seasons back then for at least not for Mythic Plus or anything. I don't know about PvP.
no,
Um,
there's no Mythic Plus in Warlords, was there?
no, there
Oh, that
wasn't.
came in Legion.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. That's what I'm saying. There was no Mythic Plus season there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So they just had like the one raid for like it was I don't know if it was a full year, but it was like 10 months. It was the same raid
Well,
with
and so the thing is though, that's the same way that it's been for the last two expansions also. In Legion, you had your final raid and then it was out for about a year. And in BFA, final raid was out for a year. Because what's happened is we've had 4 seasons, but that fourth season we don't get a new raid. Because that's what we did in BFA. Like the last raid was an Enzoth. We never got a when season 3 switched to season 4. Enzoth came out in season 3. The raid was still just Enzoth for season 4. Now for Shadowlands season 4, they did the faded raids, which I think,
I think they're gonna do that again.
yeah, I agree. I think we'll do that again. But my question isn't will we have another raid? My question is, will we have a season 4, or are we getting the because I've seen a lot of people debating and thinking, and I don't agree with them. I think for sure we're going to have a fourth season. But I think a
I think
lot
it's
of
what
people, for some reason, a lot of people out there think that when season 3 ends, we're getting a new expansion. And I don't know
yeah.
why on earth they're thinking that. It doesn't follow any pattern. Um, they barely got Dragonfly out on time, and quite frankly, there were so many bugs in Dragonfly, worse than normal. It shouldn't have come out for another month or two, in my honest opinion. So I just don't see them putting an expansion a year and a half after that one. I think it'll stick to the 2 year timeline that we normally do. We're gonna have
Yeah.
season 3. We're gonna have season 4, which will probably be. I mean, we'll see. Maybe they do have another raid in mind that they're gonna finish up, or maybe this will be the last raid that we have. I don't know.
Now, now,
I
do
personally
you
would
think?
prefer that they give us another raid, but they may not. I don't know. But I do think
But,
season 4 will happen.
okay, so let me give you thoughts on this. What if they had a small raid, kind of how Obsidian Sanctum was, with 3 bosses in it, whatever, or just the one boss with 3 mini bosses? What if they had something where it's like 3 bosses only, like that was just to like bridge some of the expansion to the next? I
I
don't know. I don't think they'll
think
do that, but I think they could.
so. My opinion is they need to do more of those 3 boss raids. Quite frankly, um,
Yeah.
they
Well, there's
had
like
it.
content drought.
Yeah, they had it in Legion. They had it in BFA. They
They had
didn't.
a Cataclysm.
They didn't do one in Shadowlands. But
Yeah.
like I think those raids are really fun in my opinion
Me
because
too.
it's
Yeah.
it's not so time consuming. I
Hey,
think
you're in and out in like 20 minutes.
I think the main deterrent for people raiding is that it typically, until it's late in the season, like right now, we did a normal raid the other night in like an hour.
Yeah, it's the hours. Oh,
But
yeah.
but typically when you're raiding and if it's still the first half of the season, you aren't doing it that quickly. It's you're talking 3 hours. If you want to raid, like actually try to raid, you're talking 3 hours, 2 nights a week that you're doing and stuck in a raid. Um,
Yeah.
to me, for me, I know that's my biggest deterrent is I don't want to say I'm going to sit in here for the next 3 hours. I don't,
Yeah.
I need to be able to get up and go do stuff if I need to. I can't just be stuck into something for 3 straight hours.
Yeah.
That's my biggest deterrent. But getting like a 2 to 3 boss raid, you can have that done in an hour. And I think that they should put more of small raids in there like that. And quite frankly, you could almost, it'd be a little challenging. You could almost, if you wanted to for fun, you could take some dungeons that we already have and just take the dungeon bosses and turn them into raids.
Yep.
It wouldn't be that difficult. You just would change their health, and that's about it. Add
Yep.
a couple mechanics in or something.
All right. I want your opinion on this one too. What if they re-released old raids just for fun, like kind of like time walking, but for raids, like go and do Ice Crown with and have it be like 4 wings or something,
Well,
where you kind of like queue up
so
to like a raid finder kind of deal.
I don't know about Raid Finder for
Plus,
it.
it's not saying like that's gonna be raid finder, more like the idea of you just queue up for the raid. It's not meaning that's all far, it technically is. I mean, normal or heroic, queue up for it.
Yeah, so I mean, technically, they already are doing that because you've got Time Walking Ulduar, Time Walking
Oh,
Black
yeah, I did do that.
Temple, Time Walking. Is there one for Mop? They have this Time Walking raid.
No,
Okay. Is it just Ulduar and Black Temple, or is there another one? I feel like there's
so
another one.
I think it's just the two right now. I thought.
Maybe. Maybe it is. I thought I could have sworn there was another one they had in there. But no, so like I think what we will see is what they did near the end of season one. I think we'll see that again where they have the time walking events where every week is a different time walking thing for like 6, 7 weeks.
Yeah,
And maybe they introduce a time walking raid from Legion. Maybe that's the time they expand that. So then 3 of those weeks you've got time walking raids to do.
yeah,
Um, but I would say it'd be interesting if they had it opened up to like what you're suggesting, where you have Old War and Black Temple, the time walking raids that they've made, have those opened up to do the whole time and not just during that week. Um,
yeah.
that could be interesting. I do think we're gonna see a faded season for raiding again,
I agree. Yeah.
unless they have an actual new raid plan for season four. That would
Is
be
it?
the
Is it?
only potential change. If they actually do create a new raid, we won't see faded.
Is it? You think it's solidified that Firex the last boss?
Firex the last boss for this upcoming raid, isn't he?
But in the expansion.
Oh, I don't think that's been set in stone at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
think.
There's like
I don't think they've said
there's
anything about final boss for this raid or for this expansion.
yeah, I know people are saying that and I don't mind that at all. Kind of cool with the mystery, but like all the other expansions, you knew who your fight is at the end.
See, though, I don't know why they do that. I personally
What? Like let
don't.
you know who's the last boss?
Yeah, I don't think like
Well,
why would you be like so and so is going to be the last boss of the expansion? Because one, you have stuff like what this is again part of why people got mad with WAD is that they changed it. So that wasn't the final boss. And then people were expecting it and then didn't get it. And also I feel like it should be a surprise until the raid is announced. Like
yeah.
that's
Well,
that that to me is what I would. That's my opinion of it. Is I think it should be a surprise until you announce the actual raid.
now I agree with that to a point. I think certain expansions and their cinematics show you who the last boss is. Wrath Lich King, obvious.
Yeah.
Um, Cataclysm, Deathwing, obvious.
Well,
I would say TBC, but Ilva's not the last boss, but he's one of the close to being one of the last bosses.
he's not the last boss. Wasn't Black Temple the last raid?
No, Samuel was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was it was Kill Jade in the Samuel.
But no, and I get so like in certain raids like that, or not raids, but certain expansions like that. Sure, you don't even need to hide who it is. Like in Shadowlands, we all knew the jailer was going to be the final boss,
Yeah.
In in Cataclysm, we all knew Deathwing was going to be fine. You didn't even need them to tell us that. Like, hello, look at the expansion. It's Deathwing is the big, like, you have when you have a big bad, that's going to be your final boss, or at least you would
Yeah.
expect it to be. Even in although technically in Legion, like Sargeras was the final boss, but not really. It was like all the stopping the Pantheon from bringing him back or whatever, stopping Argus. Like, I don't know, it was a little weird. um,
Yeah.
but like, who was the final boss in BFA? Inzoth. So like that one
And
was
yeah.
was more of a mystery,
Yes.
because I mean they were trying to, you know, oh, you're over here doing this, but secretly you're actually is happening because of all this. The jailer, they again tried to do it more of a mystery, as who's the villain, who's the villain, who's the jailer. Like, you knew the jailer was the bad guy, but they were like, who is the jailer? So that one kind of fell flat anyway. But like in Dragonflight, you don't really have one big bad. And
Yeah.
technically, we've only fought two of the four. Like, once this next raid comes out, that'll be the second of the four primal aspects, right?
I think so.
So, I mean, there's no reason they couldn't have another raid where you fight the last two, or perhaps you fight one of the last two. But, and this is kind of one thing that, with the cinematic for this upcoming patch, a lot of people kind of feel like perhaps the primal aspect, the frost primal aspect,
Yeah.
might switch sides and end up going against the other primal aspects by the end of it. Um,
Okay.
so, because she seems to be the most
Oh.
reasonable of them. So perhaps we've got Fyrak here. Perhaps she joins us to fight Fyrak, and then I don't remember. I don't remember who the fourth aspect is.
Okay. Uh,
Who are the
something kind of
four?
something popped in my head.
Go for it.
Um, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what about Murazon or whatever? I think it's the Bronze Starfight's gonna have their evil guy be one of
I
the bosses,
so listen. I
or next expansion.
I would absolutely love it if they bring in Murazon
Yeah,
as they season 4 has its own raid, and it is all about that, and it caps
stopping the
off
Infinite
with
Dragonflight.
yes. However, I do wonder if their plans are more to make Murazon the big bad for the next expansion, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I also think that they might be slightly hesitant to dive too deep into the Infinite Dragonfly and timeline stuff. I mean, they've already started doing it with this expansion, but to a much smaller extent, because that was the big issue people had with WAD.
yeah,
Now, for me, it's never been an issue for me. I look at WAD and go, that was a alternate reality in a different timeline. Like, that's all there was to it. But other people were very, very confused by everything that happened there. My guess is people who didn't read the books, didn't pay attention to the story, and are wondering
yeah,
why we're on WAD. Because that's the other thing people didn't understand, was that, I believe, if I remember right from the books, you didn't just WAD isn't just a um oh, we went to an alternate reality. We also, it's 30 years back in time. So like the
yeah,
stuff that's happening in WAD, it's two things. People got very hung up on thinking it was either we went to an alternate reality, or we went to a back in time and changed the future. Didn't do either of those things. Well, you did. You did both of those, but it wasn't you didn't change the future, because it wasn't, oh, we went back in time and changed events. We went
Mhm.
back in time to an alternate reality. So like it's a
Yeah.
combination of the two things. So it didn't affect anything in our timeline until they built their portal to come over to our timeline.
Yeah.
That was the actual interaction with our timeline.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I still am hoping for a South Seas expansion, not a
Me
Murazon
too.
expansion. But I think, I don't know. I feel like you could definitely do an entire expansion based off the Infinite Dragonflight. I just don't know that they will.
Wherever we had dragons already.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they're gonna do two. Like, I feel like if they want to wrap up the Infinite Dragonflight storyline and Murazon's storyline, this expansion is the one to do it and not have its own one because it does feel weird to do back to back dragon focused expansions.
Right.
Um, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just don't think they're going to. I think they'll wrap up or just leave the Murazon storyline for some later expansion down the road. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, what I kind of don't want to see it do, and something they tend to do on a lot of things, is wrap up major storylines in dungeons. I don't like that. Even if it's a
Mm.
mega dungeon, I don't like that. Make your raids, make your actual campaign, wrap up the big storylines. Save dungeons for smaller stuff or parts of it. That's one thing I never cared for. But yeah, I honestly think we might have a fourth raid.
Pretty cool.
Hasn't been done in a while, but I think there's a chance.
And if it gets announced anywhere, it's gonna be at BlizzCon a bit.
Well, I think we're gonna get an expansion announcement at BlizzCon, quite frankly.
Well, I think so too, but I expect to kind
Yeah.
of show us what's gonna wrap up the end of this expansion too.
Well, so 10.2, excuse me, 10.2 is gonna come out probably
A month and a
right.
half, 2 months.
Well, it's probably gonna come out right before BlizzCon or right after BlizzCon. So I
Mm.
don't see BlizzCon being very 10.2 focused.
Right.
Um, but I also don't know that I see. I see. I don't think they're gonna give us information for 10.3 at BlizzCon. If anything, it would be a 10.2.5. What are our plans for that? And then the expansion announcement. That's what I'm expecting at BlizzCon. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing is this. This is actually what I'm thinking. This just came in my head. I'm almost now going to for sure say that 10.2 will be early November, because if they do it in late October, the problem then is you have an entire Race for World First and Giant Patch releasing the same week or the week right before BlizzCon. Blizzard's already very busy with BlizzCon. I think you're going to see BlizzCon happen. They BlizzCon ends and then they go back, and then the following Tuesday or maybe a week and a half after BlizzCon, then we have the new patch, because they're not going to want to have their focus be on both BlizzCon and a new raid and everything. They're going to want 100% of their focus on BlizzCon and then 100% of the focus on 10.2. So I'm dropping
Yeah.
my prediction that it'll be end of October, and I'm gonna say that it'll be, unless they do it early October. I don't know that they have enough time to get everything
Yeah,
done
a
in
lot of
early October.
stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'll be. Let me get an actual day estimation here. I am going to guess September 10th, or not September. I'm an idiot. I'm going to guess November 14th or November 7th. One of those two.
Okay.
November 7th would be right after, would be the Tuesday after BlizzCon. Because BlizzCon, I believe, is November 3rd and 4th. So I'm
Okay.
going to say the 7th or the 14th. That's when we're going to get 10.2.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't think they can push it past the 14th, because then you run into Thanksgiving issues and you get everyone mad again about holidays and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing 7th and 14th. One of those two. Anything else you want to get me to go off on tangents on?
Trying to think of stuff. I don't think so. I think. What do you think? Season 4 dungeons, all mega dungeons again. I think they'll bring in some old dungeons.
No, so that is something that's interesting because I know there's some theories floating around because season 3, the only Dragonflight dungeons we have are the 2 mega dungeon wings, which we haven't had in
Right.
Mythic Plus. So then the question is season 4 going to be all different stuff, or is season 4 going to be just Dragonflight dungeons, no old dungeons?
That'd be cool.
So yeah,
I like that.
yeah, I think it would be interesting to see if they do it that way or not.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a possibility. What happened? There we go. But yeah, I think we'll have. I think for sure we're gonna have 4 seasons. I don't even know why people are acting like we're not gonna have a 4th season, like it's up in the air. Because I don't see any way that we have an expansion as soon as the end of season 3.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. But yeah, I think that's about all I've got. Anything else that you've got?
Nope. I'm good.
All right. Well, without any further ado, oh yeah, weekend WoW. What was your weekend WoW like?
Just key 16-17s on my rogue, my evoker.
Yeah.
Just get my rogue ready for rework. Get ready to play evoker because it's been it's up there for one of my favorite classes in the game.
Nice.
So it's nice to play it, and I like to get some devastation at some point, but I'm just happy playing augmentation too. But yeah, just rogue and evoker stuff. Trying to finish gearing my evoker's 442, my rogue's 440 now, so it's slowly getting up there.
There we go. Get you at 447 before season 3 starts.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Oh, pretty much the same. Did a keys and trying to get stuff geared. Human Hunter is still looking for my trinkets, man. That's all I got left. I've got everything 447 max leveled out. I just got
what do you need?
441 trinkets. I need the Festering Splinter and the Harlan's Loaded Dice, but they got to drop from the vault.
Oh.
So, good luck. The trinkets are very difficult. That I feel like is the hardest thing to get now from the vault, which I'm pretty sure I had a Loaded Dice myth level at some point in my vault, and I think I took a tier piece over it, and now I'm like, I think maybe I should have taken the dice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we'll see. Hopefully I can get those before the end of the season. I mean, quite frankly, 441 is fine for those anyway. If that's all I'm able to get, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Cool.
So, anyway, y'all know the socials by this point. They're up on the top of the screen if you need them. Bios are over there at the top of the screen if you need them. Feel free to hit us up at any of those, comment on the podcast, whatever. And maybe if you have any suggestions, any classes you want to hear about the tuning, you want information on, whatever, let us know. We can look into those before the next podcast.
Yep.
And we will catch you all then.
Later.
Later.